Hello everyone, I'm the Mangoose. You are awesome. And have you ever heard of the Yellow Deli Cult? Now if you're thinking to yourself, is that a group of people led by Jared from Subway who just really dig sandwiches? Well, you're a moron, but I like your style. No, this is a real cult, more appropriately known as the 12 Tribes Cult. Just like the anime and incest video I did, this one's going to get a little dark. I'm going to try and keep it lighthearted and entertaining, but this is a real cult that preaches racism, homophobia, and above all else, horrible child abuse. So why are they beating the shit out of kids though? Well, they believe that they can produce 144,000 male children that are pure enough to breathe fire. Now let's think about that. Let's use their logic. Let's get inside their heads, and you can still see a gaping hole in their plan. If you beat the shit out of a little boy until he goes full on Trogdor, who do you think the first person he's going to burninate is? That's right, it's gonna be you. So if I've piqued your curiosity, then come along with me as I take a dive into the 12 Tribes Cult. Now, before we get into it, let's go over my theories as we always do. This time, I knew a little bit about the cult. I did know that it was based on the Abrahamic religion, so my assumption was that they had probably taken a few verses out of the Bible, interpreted them very literally, and then just kind of ignored the rest of the Bible if it didn't really align with the way they thought. And for once, I was right. That's exactly what they did, which is awesome. So let's get into this. Let's talk a little bit about their history. They were founded in 1972 by Albert Eugene Spriggs, a high school guidance counselor. He later changed his name to Yannick. Good call, I think. I would not want to be known as Albert either. Sorry for anybody out there who's named Albert. That's a perfectly good name. Anyway, that's one of the things that this cult does is when you join them, they end up changing your name to a Hebrew name. Now, I'm not spiritual at all. I'm not religious in any capacity. I'm atheist. I'm not anti-theist though. I don't hate people for having a religion. If religion is something that you like and something that enriches your life, then go for it, man. I really don't care. Live and let live, as I say. But if you're out there seeking spirituality and you come across a group that wants to change your name, don't let them do it. That includes prefixes. If they want to call you, if your name is Justin and they want to call you brother Justin, like brother this or sister that, that's their way of kind of subtly changing your identity and the way you see yourself. So that's your first cue to cut, sling, and run, because it starts with them calling you Brother Justin, and then 4 months later, you're being called Brother Bartholomew. You have 4 wives, all 4 of which are pregnant. You have no idea who the father is, though, because that pussy is public property that the elders can partake of anytime they want. So if they try and give you a fucking moniker or something, just eject. Just get the fuck out of there. But anyway, as I was saying, they were founded in Chattanooga, Tennessee as the Vine Christian Community Church, later relocated to Vermont. But why are they called the Yellow Deli Cult? Well, they run a string of restaurants called the Yellow Deli. They also have some kind of bakery too. But anyway, only the elders are allowed, of course, to work in these restaurants because they don't want the new members interacting with the public. They want to cut people away from public ties as much as possible and make them completely dependent on the commune. So that's kind of their recruitment tool. That's their first step. They'll invite someone to their restaurant, give them a free meal, and then once you they give you this free meal so that you feel like you owe them a little bit. Like, hey, they gave me this free food. The least I could do is go to one of their church services. And then that's how they get their hooks into you. Next thing you know, you're giving away all of your worldly possessions and joining this cult. I don't understand people that join cults. Maybe that's a topic for another video. I don't understand what makes you want to just do that. Because you get in, of course you have to give up everything, all your money and all your worldly possessions. And who would want to do that? Just immediately, like, you got to do that pretty quick when you get into these cults. But that's how they keep you in the cult, is once you have lost all ties with the outside world and all of your social ties are within the community, the commune, there's no way of leaving without leaving all of your friends and family, and you have no money to do anything in the outside world. But I got way off topic there. Why are they called the 12 Tribes cult? The 12 Tribes is something, Abraham's grandson Jacob had 12 sons, and those were said to have formed the 12 Tribes of Israel, and a lot of the stuff that they believe is based out of that. Specifically, the book of Revelations, chapter 7, says something about 12,000 members of each one of those tribes will be sealed or go to heaven or something like that. And 12,000 times 12 is 144,000. They believe that they need to produce 144,000 pure male children that can breathe fire in order to usher in the return of Jesus. There you go. Now, in order to produce their 144,000 pure male fire-breathing children, they rely on beatings and strict discipline to beat all of the impurities out of them. In fact, they keep a wooden rod or wooden or plastic rod above each doorway in the community so that adults will have a quick access to something they can beat the shit out of kids with, usually on the hands or butt. But like a cult member, I think what was his name, Kayam Matthias, he said he was beaten 20 to 30 times a day. 20 to 30 times a day, and any adult can beat any child for any infraction whatsoever. And these infractions are weird shit, like kids aren't allowed to talk to each other unless an adult allows them to do so. Playing pretend, like if you're pretending like you're a fucking airplane or some sort of animal, is considered to be like the influence of Satan because you're traveling to a different world inside your mind. So that's just another way for them to That's just a way for them to stem imagination and learning. And you're not allowed to have books that personify things. Like if it's like some sort of talking animal, the kids aren't allowed to have that. It's just really weird stuff that's just designed to program children from a very young age to be fully dependent on the community. And there is evidence of these beatings. There was a German documentary that had several videos of children being beaten unmercifully, and there was a raid. The German government did a raid on the community over there. It is an international cult, and took away a whole bunch of those children. Same thing happened in the U.S. up in Vermont. The state of Vermont raided one of the communes and took away, it was 100 to 200 kids, something like that. But the cult then filed a lawsuit against the state saying it was unconstitutional for them to have conducted that raid. And they won. The cult won that case. Now, I know you're probably thinking, well, they got proved innocent in court. However, the public defender, the person defending the state in that case, ended up joining the cult like a couple months later. How fucked up is that? The person defending the state joined the cult. That's like if you get divorced and you go to court and your wife gets everything, gets just everything you have, just wipes you out, cleans you out, and then your lawyer, the one defending you, marries your wife 3 months later. Like, he was fucking her the entire time. Of course you lost your goddamn court case. This fucking public defender was in cahoots with the cult the entire time. Of course the state of Vermont lost that case. And of course it was ruled unconstitutional. Now, a few members of the cult have publicly said that, like, yes, sometimes it happens. Sometimes the beatings are a little too harsh. But, that's not indicative of the overall culture of the cult. But it is. It really is. Let me read you some of the teachings out of their little stupid book. Discipline is vital. If you don't discipline your child according to the scriptures, you are not going to enter the kingdom of heaven. It continues, when we see a child receive what we consider mistreatment from such parents, we must remember that God is in control and has chosen to place the sole life of that child under those parents. So that's basically saying that if child abuse happens, they're going to look the other way and let it happen. So they are very complacent. And yes, child abuse is indicative of that entire fucking cult. So fuck you guys with your stupid ass statements about, oh, it's just one or two people. Yeah, it's one or two people that you let happen. And if you let one or two people do it, then several more people are going to do it too. So yeah, fuck you. This cult is also very racist. They preach that that slavery was a good thing, that Africans would basically be useless if we didn't bring them over here and enslave them. And then they defend that too. They're saying, oh, we have black members. That's like your standard fucking racist white person shit. Oh, one of my best friends is black. Yeah, it doesn't matter if one of your best friends is black if you're still a racist piece of shit. And this cult is a bunch of racist pieces of shit. They are also very homophobic. They preach that that homosexuals should literally be killed. They'll say in public, oh, we will be willing to accept LGBT into our community. Yeah, of course, you'll be willing to accept them as long as they renounce everything they are and completely change their identity. So you want to take their fucking sexuality away so that they can join your goddamn cult. Yeah, that's when you'll accept them. You won't accept them for who they are. You'll only accept them for who they want to be. I don't know why this video is getting so angry. I don't know why I'm like directing this at the cult as if I'm angry at them. Okay, here's directly from Albert Yonek, one of his sermons. What a marvelous opportunity that blacks could be brought over here to be slaves so that they could be found worthy of the nations. A good master would work by the sweat of his brow. If his slave were lazy and disrespectful, he would beat him, which is what he was supposed to do. But they're not racist. Another thing that they do that's pretty common among cults is they withhold their core teachings until you're deemed worthy of those teachings. This is something that the Church of Scientology does as well. Their teachings are so goddamn batshit crazy that you can't teach them to people when they first come in. If you join a church and they won't tell you everything that they teach until you're deemed worthy, that's another sign that you are in a fucking cult and you should cut sling and roll out. Anyway, that's about all I have to say about the Yellow Deli 12 Tribes cult, whatever the fuck you want to call them. I don't know why I got so hyped up in this one. I apologize for that. If you did like the video, you know what? I'm not going to say you're fucking weird for liking this one. I think this one was pretty good. The next one, though, I want to examine in a survival situation, is it better to drink your own pee or someone else's pee? That answer might be obvious at first, but really think about that one for a minute. But for now, this is the old Man Goose signing off. You guys have a good one. Man Goose!